afternoon, you're watching the English newscast on Future Television. I'm Linda Tamim, and these are today's top stories. Future movement leader MP Saad Hariri praises the army after its battles against terrorists in the Ras Balbek region, which claimed the lives of 8 soldiers. Saudi Arabia's King Salman bin Abdulaziz vows to continue his predecessor's policies as he makes key appointments hours after King Abdullah's death. And in Lebanon, Saudi Ambassador Ali Awad al-Siri receives condolences from hundreds at the Muhammad al-Amid Mosque in downtown Beirut. Hundreds of relatives, friends and sympathizers of 5 of the 8 Lebanese soldiers killed in Friday's battle with ISIS militants on the border with Syria poured onto the streets for their funerals. The body of First Lieutenant Ahmad Mahmoud Tabigh, 28, was carried out of Dar al-Amal University Hospital in the Bekaa Valley town of Baalbek, where fellow soldiers waited to begin the ceremony to honor their fallen comrade. In addition to Tabigh, the army announced the deaths of Sergeants Muhammad Niazi Nasruddin, Soldier Bilal Khudr Ahmed, Soldier Muhammad Ali Alauddin, and Soldier Hassan Ramadan Deeb. The attack sparked 16 hours of fighting between the military and ISIS. More than 40 militants were also killed in the battle. Future movement leader MP Saad Hariri has praised the army after its battles against terrorists in Ras Balbek. In a statement, Hariri said the army has proven its ability to confront assaults by extremists and to face terrorist bombings. The army has presented a new line of martyrs who died while defending their nation, the security and stability of all the Lebanese people. He also called on all Lebanese to come together and unite in supporting the army and security forces to allow them to perform their duties in confronting attacks against Lebanon. Saudi Arabia's King Salman bin Abdulaziz has pledged continuity and moved to cement his hold on power shortly after becoming the new king following the death of his half-brother King Abdullah bin Abdulaziz. King Abdullah died early on Friday, aged about 90. He was later buried in an unmarked grave in keeping with local religious traditions. In his first public statement since taking over as the new monarch, King Salman, 79, has called for unity and solidarity among Muslims and vowed to work in the defense of the causes of his country. The Lebanese delegation has now arrived in Riyadh, as you can see on the footage. World leaders are arriving in Saudi Arabia to meet its new King Salman. Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif, the Crown Prince of Morocco, Prince Moulay Rashid, and the Mauritanian President Mohamed Ould Abdelaziz were among the first world leaders to arrive in Riyadh. Yang Jiechi, a member of China's State Council and former foreign minister, also touched down in the Saudi capital. Russia's Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev, Britain's Prime Minister David Cameron, French President François Hollande, and Japan's Crown Prince Naruhito will also visit this weekend to offer their condolences. The White House says U.S. President Barack Obama will cut short a visit to India to pay his respects on Tuesday instead of Vice President Joe Biden, who had been scheduled to fly in from Washington. Saudi Ambassador to Lebanon Ali Awad al-Siri has received condolences from hundreds of people at the Muhammad al-Amin Mosque in downtown Beirut. Army Commander General Jean Ahwaji, Progressive Socialist Party leader Walid Jumblat, and U.S. Ambassador David Hale were among those who paid their respects. Syrian government air raids have killed at least 42 people, including 6 children, in a rebel-held village near Damascus. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights reported a massacre against the village of Hamouria in eastern Ghouta yesterday. The Britain-based watchdog said government helicopters dropped 5 barrel bombs on the village. Syria's opposition factions have called for radical democratic change in the war-torn country ahead of April talks aimed at unifying their plan for a political solution to the conflict. In a two-day conference held in the Egyptian capital, Cairo, the regime-tolerated opposition met with members of the exiled National Coalition and agreed on a 10-point vision, as well as announcing fresh talks slated for April. The groups agreed that any negotiation process should lead to a democratic regime and a sovereign civil state, according to a joint statement. The National Coalition was informally represented in Cairo by several members, including Ahmed Jarba, a former coalition chief who is close to Saudi Arabia. And still in Egypt, people are expected to come out in numbers on Sunday to mark the 4th anniversary of the 2011 uprising. Demonstrations have been gathering pace in the days leading up to the anniversary, and an Egyptian student was killed on Friday during clashes between Muslim Brotherhood protesters and residents in the coastal city of Alexandria. A security official in Alexandria said several people were wounded in the clashes, but denied that security forces had opened fire to disperse demonstrators. Secessionist gunmen in southern Yemen have seized all police checkpoints in a major city in another blow to the central government, undermined by Houthi militants in Sana'a. Witnesses say the fighters from the southern movement took over 6 checkpoints in Atak, the capital of Shabwa province, without facing any resistance. Policemen were told to give up their weapons and return to their bases before the militiamen raised flags of the formerly independent South Yemen at the checkpoints. The move comes after other southern cities and provinces declared they will disobey the central government in Sana'a. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry says countries must devote more resources to fight global extremism, adding that the battle will not be successful unless sectarian division and Islamophobia are eschewed. Speaking against a backdrop of deadly Islamist militant attacks in France, Pakistan, Nigeria, and elsewhere, Kerry told world leaders at the annual World Economic Forum in Switzerland that nothing could ever excuse such acts.
I want to take a moment to say how I think all of us were saddened to hear the news that King Abdullah of Saudi Arabia had died. I am here today to talk about countering violent extremism, and King Abdullah had a long history of being a brave partner with us and with the world in his work, not just in counterterrorism, but in his work on interfaith understanding. There are no grounds of history, religion, ideology, grievance, psychology, politics, economic disadvantage, or personal ambition that will ever justify the murder of children, the kidnapping and the rape of teenage girls, or the slaughter of unarmed civilians, whether for ideology or for some false religious assertion. None. And no matter the input, this kind of atrocity can really never be rationalized. These kinds of actions can never be excused. And they have to be opposed. With every fiber of our being, they have to be stopped. And today we are witnessing nothing more than a form of criminal anarchy, a nihilism which illegitimately claims an ideological and religious foundation. Against this enemy, we are increasingly organizing and fighting back. But in doing so, we have to also keep our heads. Obviously, the biggest error that we could make would be to blame Muslims collectively for crimes not committed by Muslims alone. Crimes that the overwhelming majority of Muslims oppose. Crimes that their faith utterly rejects. And that Muslim leaders themselves have the greatest ability to address. Unless we direct our energies in the right direction, we may very well fuel the very fires that we want to put out. So what should we do? Well, the first step is to make clear that the civilized world will not cower in the face of this violence. Violent extremism has claimed lives in every corner of the globe, and Muslim lives most of all. We are each threatened, regardless of faith, ethnicity, homeland, or tribe. And so it is imperative that we each, all of us, respond. There's no room for sectarian division. There's no room for anti-Semitism or Islamophobia. And no way forward except to demonstrate to the terrorists that every time they try to divide us, they strengthen our resolve. like the million souls that last week spoke with a single voice in the streets of Paris, we must act as one. And the place to begin is quite simply by defeating Daesh. In the weeks to come, we have to not only continue moving ahead with urgency to eliminate Daesh as a threat to international security, but we also have to strengthen Somalia, intensify our effort to defend violence in Nigeria, which I will go to in a couple of days, and strike at the tentacles of Al-Qaeda in Yemen, the Maghreb, and wherever else they appear.
Clint Eastwood's hit film American Sniper has reignited a bitter debate about the U.S. invasion of Iraq and one of its most famous warriors, without conservatives hailing the movie as a long overdue tribute to veterans. Critics on the left have slammed the popular film as an attempt to whitewash the history of the American occupation of Iraq, and say the subject of the movie, former Navy SEAL Chris Kyle, deserves no hero treatment for his handiwork as a deadly sniper. Directed by Eastwood and starring Bradley Cooper, the film is based on Kyle's best-selling memoir, in which he expressed no regrets for the lives he extinguished as a sharpshooter in the war.
Let me ask you a question, Chris. Would you be surprised if I told you that the Navy has credited you with over 160 kills? Do you ever think that you might have seen things or done some things over there that you wish you hadn't?
Oh, that's not me, no.
What's not you?
I don't tell you enough. I'm so proud of you. You're such a great father.
So you're not worried about what might happen?
I'm willing to meet my creator and answer for every shot that I took.
I'll pick it up. Drop it.
So what, are you in Germany or where?
I'm stateside.
You're home? What are you doing?
I guess I just needed a minute. The thing that haunts me are all the guys that I couldn't save.
Hey! Tend to my daughter, please, right now!
I'm ready.
Oh my God!
I'm ready to come home.
U.S. President Barack Obama sat down for his first interview after the State of the Union with popular YouTube creators Bethany Mota, Hank Green, and Glozell Green to have a conversation about issues that matter most to them and their audiences. The interviews reflected some of the State of the Union themes, although Obama answered several personal questions. Viewers could watch it on the White House YouTube webpage and ask questions using the hashtag #YouTubeAsksObama.
Hello everyone, my name is Steve Grove and I'm the director of the News Lab at Google, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to a YouTube interview with the President of the United States. Mr. President, thanks for having us here today.
Great to see you, Steve. Thanks.
We've invited 3 top YouTube creators here to the White House today. We're in the East Room, and they have set up their own YouTube sets right here in the White House.
Great to see you, Hank.
President Obama.
Hey, Glozell.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good to see you.
Great to meet you.
I don't really feel like I'm having you. This is your house.
Well, it's the people's house. This is, I'm actually leasing, and my lease runs out in 2 years.
I'm only going to get one shot at this. I don't think I'm going to get a lot of chances to interview the president, so I'm going to jump right in.
Do you think that same-sex marriage will be legalized in all of the United States?
What do you think is the best long-term plan for making education as a whole more affordable for students?
Are you at all worried that your administration is going to be seen as a time when drone strikes were over or misused?
I have a lot of friends who are Cuban Americans.
Right.
How do you justify dealing with the Castros.
How can we just prevent bullying in schools and online?
This is one area where I think your voice is more powerful than the President of the United States. Our history shows that when people get involved, when they get engaged, when they vote, that in fact, change happens. Same-sex marriage should be legal. Now I've proposed to make community colleges free for the first 2 years, and that's a good option for a lot of young people.
Before I had insurance, I could not take this medication. It's about $1,100 a month. And that is a receipt showing it being $5 a month.
Hank, you know, your story is the story of so many people. The more young people are engaged in issues, the more attention that is paid to it, and ultimately, you know, that's how you solve these problems.
Actually, one more question for you. Can you take a selfie with me?
Let's do it.
All right.
This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a reminder of our top stories. Future movement leader MP Saad Hariri praises the army after its battles against terrorists in the Ras Baalbek region, which claimed the lives of 8 soldiers. And Saudi Arabia's King Salman bin Abdulaziz vows to continue his predecessor's policies as he makes key appointments hours after King Abdullah's death. And in Lebanon, Saudi Ambassador Ali Awad Asiri receives condolences from hundreds at the Mohammed El Amin Mosque in downtown Beirut. That's it from us here at That's it from us here at Future Television. I'm Linda Tamim, wishing you all a very nice evening and a very nice weekend as well. Take care.